reflect the views of USA Today or its affiliates.
Good morning and welcome to Connecting America on the USA Today streaming channels on this Wednesday morning. I'm Jim Rosenfield. We've got Dave Briggs here, Hannah Davis at the Sunrise Diner here in Roselle Park, New Jersey. How are we all doing on this rainy Wednesday morning here in the Northeast?
Full table this morning.
We sure do. Jeanette Hoffman here as well is going to weigh in on some issues of the day for us. So let's check in with a big story right off the top. Yeah. First thing first, here at the diner, the government shutdown. It's now day
8, I believe.
Yeah, who's
1
counting?
week.
No end in sight. Roughly 750,000 federal workers are now on furlough. And get this, now the president is saying some of those federal workers might not get back pay. That's something Democrats see as a strong arm tactic and not legal, they say. So that could head to the courts if they try to pull that one off.
You know, and this one is something that I'm watching, getting ready to fly out today. We're starting to see travel delays across the country in Burbank, Newark, Phoenix, and Denver, to name a few. This is due to staffing shortages. The transportation secretary warns this could get worse. Not what you want to hear.
3,500 flights delayed yesterday alone, according to FlightAware.
I was flying last night from Denver into LaGuardia. Everything was great. We were doing early, actually, which I was excited about because we know we have to get up early here for Connecting America. And about 45 minutes out, the captain came on and said, there's a ground stop at LaGuardia. We're going to circle. And we did for...
Which, by the way, was a regular occurrence well before the government shutdown.
Yes,
someone who flies into and out of New York all the time.
So we don't know.
That's very true.
It's basically par for the course.
Yeah, exactly.
And most New York airports.
Was that the conversation at the airports yesterday? Were you hearing a lot of people talking about that?
You know, we started out at a smaller airport where things were running pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
And obviously everybody was aware there could be issues. So I think they got there a little bit early. Everything seemed to be okay at this point.
Okay.
Yeah,
but we know some of those airports are already having problems.
Always thought this would be the time that the shutdown happens for the American people. It was always about the flights.
You called that yesterday.
Yeah. Another big story we're following: James Comey, the former FBI director, set to be arraigned in Alexandria, Virginia, just a few hours from now. There he is. The former FBI director will face 2 charges: making false statements to Congress and the obstruction of justice. A federal grand jury indicted Comey last month. President Trump has been pushing for this prosecution, saying Comey is being held responsible for his crimes against our nation. We should point out no one in the Eastern District of Virginia would help Pam Bondi try this case. She had to search around the country for someone to try it. She found those attorneys in North Carolina. This is a very uncommon occurrence. Yeah. It's a big office in Virginia.
We'll see.
No one would sign on.
No. Just the lone prosecutor by herself, who, as I understand, has never tried a federal case. So
that is correct.
You know what else we're following? Texas National Guard troops. They are now in Illinois. This is all part of President Trump's crackdown on big city crime. There they are, some of them. Pentagon saying 200 Texas Guardsmen are at Elwood U.S. Army Reserve Center. That's near Chicago. Their mission, says the Pentagon, protect federal personnel and property amid some anti-immigration protests in Chicago. Now, the city and the governor trying to block the Guard from heading to Illinois, but a district judge ruled in favor of the federal government so far at this point. A lot to unpack here on this hump day for us. We're joined by Republican political strategist Jeanette Hoffman here at the diner. Jeanette, where to begin? All right, let's start.
Did we not get you a cup of coffee?
I think I need about
really
3 cups of coffee right now.
I'll gladly share mine.
Oh, boy. So where should we start, Jim?
Let's start with the Guard in Illinois, obviously against the wishes of the Illinois governor. The mayor of Chicago also saying the president needs to stop this war on Chicago. And there are questions about whether he has the legal authority to even be doing this. Where do you think that stands?
Well, a lot's going on in Chicago. I mean, the partisan statements from the governor, from the mayor, are just over the top. If you just take the partisanship out of it, which I know is hard to do because we live in very divided times.
I was going to say,
but if just look at the footage of what is happening in Chicago, right? It's just out of control. I mean, people ramming into federal officers. We had this situation over the weekend happened, where ICE officers were calling for backup from the Chicago PD, and the Chicago PD was told not to respond. I mean, it's really out of control.
But out of control in isolated areas of the city. I mean, we're not talking about the entire city of Chicago out of control.
But does anyone think that President Trump, excuse me, President Trump was going to just stand by and let anarchists and protests run rampant and federal law enforcement agents come under fire here? No, of course he's going to send in the National Guard.
Jeanette, you were talking about partisan rhetoric, and we were talking to a council member from Portland yesterday about this, and she was very against Trump sending in troops into that area there. One thing I asked her is, I said, what would it look like to work together in a positive way? I do agree that we're hearing partisan rhetoric, but also from both sides. Would you give any counsel to the conservative Republican side on the way they're speaking about this to make this a partnership as opposed to opposition, and also recommendations to the left as well?
Well, I love what you said about a partnership, right? Because I feel like local law enforcement should be welcoming in backup here, because, you know, that's what we need. Let's put it the citizens of Portland, the citizens of Chicago, right? I mean, we just want to keep them safe. And I think that's what the federal government is saying. But the messaging is getting messed up here, you know, on both sides.
Well, whether it's Portland or Chicago, no matter what the city, most of these local officials and governors acknowledge crime can be a problem in these cities. Why not work with the governor? Why not work with the mayor on what the things they are asking for, which is more funding for law enforcement? Because ultimately, if you send in the National Guard, everyone knows they're going to leave within 30 days. That doesn't do anything for crime in the long run. Absolutely nothing. Why not work with them in a long-term solution to increase law enforcement in those cities?
I think that's a good point, Dave. But I think in the short term, I think you have to get the situation under
But
control.
he's not
first.
attempting to do that. Why not?
Well, I mean, listen, I think the appropriations have to come from Congress, but I hear your point. But I think right now, the federal agents are under attack. ICE agents have been threatened 1,000 times more in the past several days than they ever have been. So I hear your point, and I think that's something that everybody should work together on.
We could talk about this issue alone for the entire 2 hours of this program. We want to talk about some other issues. We know that Comey's set to be arraigned, the former FBI director, set to be arraigned in a couple of hours. Critics of the administration say this is just pure politics here and retribution. What do you have to say about that? Retribution by President Trump against one of his so-called enemies.
Well, listen, weaponization of the justice system happened under the Biden administration, and President Trump is saying this is justice. This is not weaponization. A lot of people are concerned that the executive branch shouldn't be talking about this, right? I mean, there should be a separation from the executive branch and the attorney general. But President Trump has obviously a different opinion about this. And he says, I am the chief law enforcement officer. But listen, the two things can be true at the same time. And this is my personal opinion on this. I don't think James Comey is a great person. I think he did things that were not correct. And he should be held accountable by a jury of his peers, by the grand jury here. But I think President Trump, listen, we need to get back to a place where the American public has faith in our justice system, right? I don't think anybody thought that what happened to President Trump was correct. All the indictments against him. And I think he got a lot of public sympathy for that. And when he was running for president, a lot of people thought he was politically targeted. But what he's doing now, I think he should stay out of it and let whatever happens to James Comey and some other people, let's just have it happen under the justice system.
Isn't it too late for that? He already said on social media directly to Pam Bondi what he wants her to do.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's happened. I'm personally not comfortable with it, but the president has a very strong opinion and he's going to express it.
Jeanette, if you were to sit down with the president right now, what would be your advice to him as a strategist, how to handle this situation to hopefully find a better way moving forward? We can all say we don't like what happened in the past. What would be your advice moving forward for leadership in a better country?
Well, first, let's work on getting the government reopened, right?
that would be nice.
But anyway, like I think we should just say, listen, we're not going to weaponize our justice system. We're going to move forward, and we're going to have a government that works for the American people, and justice is blind.
How would you make that appeal to him? How would you get that to President Trump to have him listen to that and really understand that?
Well, that's a tough situation. You know, I think I would work with some of his closest advisors that have his ear.
Yeah.
What about the shutdown? You said, let's get the government open, and lots of finger pointing on both sides. Who's to blame? There's some new polling out that does show that Those who were polled are blaming the president for not handling this the way they wish he would, and the Republicans, in fact, blaming Republicans for this shutdown. What's your take on that?
Well, it depends on which poll you look at. I looked at a Harvard University poll yesterday. First of all, no surprise, 70% of Americans don't think the government should be shut down. Shocking, right?
Hey, we can agree on that.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I also saw that 65% of Americans think the Democrats should accept a clean continuing resolution. That goes back to Biden level budget spending, which is what Republicans have put on the table here. So, listen, Republicans passed a clean continuing resolution that Democrats voted for 13 times under the Biden administration.
Including just 2 years ago.
Yeah. Now, Majority Leader John Thune is going to go today and hold a vote for the 6th time, and let's see what happens. But here's what I'm a little bit optimistic about. There was a bipartisan meeting at a Thai restaurant yesterday with members of the Senate. So hopefully, this is something I think our leaders should be doing more often, right?
Yes.
Just sitting down like in a diner like we're doing right now.
Heck yeah, man. I agree with you there. The Tip O'Neill strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was
Ronald
reading
Reagan.
there's some quiet negotiations going on behind the scenes that people aren't really aware of. So maybe some forward momentum.
So I'm a little bit optimistic, but not a whole lot, because there's still, I think the sides are a little bit far apart.
Over or under 20 days. Shutdown.
I think under, because here's why.
Okay.
The airport stuff that we just talked about, people are not going to tolerate it for very long. I'm flying out to Chicago on Friday. I'm running in the Chicago Marathon. And if my flight is canceled,
Good luck in the
I'm going to be very
marathon,
upset.
And good luck with the flight.
Yeah. But listen, I don't think that the American people are going to tolerate this for very long.
Jeanette Hoffman, thanks so much for being
thank
here.
you
at
so
the
much.
Diner.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, let's get the latest from AccuWeather Alex De Silva. He's keeping an eye on the tropics. Good morning, Alex. What's it looking like?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, we have issues on both coasts right now. We'll start out west here. We'll talk about Priscilla first, and then we'll jump to the Atlantic. But Priscilla down here off the southwest coast of Mexico right now, but it's going to be moving towards the United States. But it's going to fall apart before it gets there. But all of that moisture is really going to be streaming northward into the southwest right here, starting tomorrow afternoon and lasting into the weekend. So we could be seeing drenching showers and thunderstorms across Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, places like that. Even we could see even some localized flooding downpours, 1 to 2 inches, maybe even 2 to 4 inches in some areas like Flagstaff. So keep an eye out there for some localized flooding. Overall, though, I think this rain is going to be beneficial because a lot of these areas are dealing with drought situations. We flip to the East Coast now. We have newly named Tropical Storm Jerry in the Atlantic. Now, the good news is this will be steered away from the United States. It still can bring some impacts here to the northern Leeward Islands late this week. But a large dip in the jet stream will protect the United States as we expect this to miss wide right and head out into the open Atlantic away from the United States. Now, there is a little bit more of a concern for the United States late this week and into the weekend as we watch a coastal storm that's going to be developing off the East Coast and slowly moving its way north. Now, there is a chance that it could become a named tropical system, but overall it's going to be a hybrid type system, almost comparable to like a nor'easter, for example, just without the snow here. But it's still going to be very powerful and enough to bring some pretty strong winds at the coastline and some pretty heavy rain, but we're also concerned about potentially big-time coastal flooding and some potential damage here along the coast here as we go into the weekend. The coastline is already very vulnerable from multiple storms this year, and this one could be meandering off either the southeast coast or the Delmarva Peninsula here through the weekend, and this constant high tide cycles could cause some coastal inundation and beach erosion in a lot of these areas.
All right, Alex, we don't like it when those storms meander along the eastern
No,
seaboard.
get out of
a lot
there.
of problems.
Rough drive this
Dave?
morning. Thank you, Alex. All right, shifting to foreign affairs now. President Trump saying that there is a real chance of a Gaza peace deal. He also said U.S. negotiators were involved in peace talks in Egypt. And the Prime Minister of Canada got a warm welcome from President Trump at the White House yesterday. Trump getting in a lot of laughs when suggesting the U.S. merge with Canada. That's why Amy Kellogg joins us at the table, our foreign affairs correspondent, not so foreign today. Nice to have you here, my friend.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, so let's talk about a number of things. Canada was an interesting meeting with Mark Carney. This tension, but yet a rather cordial interaction, almost considering what it's been like in the Oval Office.
Kind of jokey tension.
Yes.
Jokey tension.
But joking about a merger.
Yeah, and I don't think the Canadians were laughing too
No.
hard at that joke. 60% of Canadians, I just read a poll, will never trust the United States again.
And they do not travel to the United States. They have put bans on buying countless United States products. Interesting to see where that goes. Let's talk about the optimism for a peace deal in the Mideast. What is our level of optimism today? It being yesterday was October 7th, the anniversary of the attack in Israel.
A somber day, and today is a big day, a big hopeful day, in the sense that the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who's been very key in working towards these peace deals, and Steve Witkoff, the negotiator on all portfolios. Yes. Someone pointed out yesterday that maybe the real estate guys don't have the baggage of diplomats. So let's see if that works. But also the foreign minister of Qatar arrived today, as well as a team of Israeli top negotiators and Egyptian intelligence chiefs. So the really big hitters are on the scene today. I read a story in the Arab press that everyone's phones get jammed before they walk into this heavily secured compound, and that Hamas doesn't even bring their phones in at all, because the top negotiator for Hamas is the one Israel tried to kill.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about Hamas and the big question, the big hurdle that needs to be accomplished, disarmament of Hamas? They have so far left that out of any public discourse. They haven't said they're ready to put down their arms, correct?
It's one of the big sticking points, Jim. Phase one looks likely to happen, which is the exchange of hostages and something of an Israeli withdrawal from Gaza back to another line. But the disarmament, I mean, Hamas is not up for that at all. And there are differences between handguns and rocket launchers. Another issue is the fact that there are a lot of militias now taking on Hamas in Gaza. So an international peace force that would involve a lot of Arab armies would then be up against some of these new militant groups. I mean, it's really complicated. The second tier of issues, like that security force, like the disarmament, are going to be, I think, a lot more difficult to get past.
You know, Amy, we have leadership talking about these negotiations. In the middle, like in any conflict or war, we have citizens in both Israel and Palestine. I want to talk about the state of affairs for citizens in Palestine right now. What are you hearing? You said you were just reading articles and reports about what's been going on.
Yeah, the Washington Post had a really important story today about Gaza, and it's really been annihilated. It's going to take decades to rebuild it, 55 years with 100 trucks.
And
where's
the money coming
That's clearing
from
rubble.
That? Yeah,
exactly. It's got the highest per capita percentage of amputees in the world.
Wow.
And 42,000 on top of the 60,000 killed have life-threatening injuries, and 10,000 of those are children. This is according to a Washington Post article that cited the United Nations. But these are, Gazans are desperate for this all to work out. Hamas aside, their lives have been completely suspended, if not destroyed, in these 2 years.
Of course, at the heart of all this is the issue of, can the U.S. and Israel ever trust Gaza? And will they ever accept not being part of leadership there in Gaza?
Hamas,
excuse me.
Yeah. That's a good question, Dave. I don't think we know the answer to that. One of the points that Trump cleverly put into this deal is that there's amnesty for Hamas if they hand over their weapons, which, seems almost a bit much, really, given that they
Probably
just yesterday
bit much for Netanyahu,
called October 7th a, quote, glorious crossing.
Mm-hmm.
So, that I don't see a future for them. It'll be interesting to watch the prisoners who get out in this exchange, because some of the Palestinian ones are very important ones. One could be tipped to be a new leader for the Palestinians, Marwan Barghouti. I don't know if they'll spring him or not, but he's someone to watch, because a new generation of leadership needs to come on board for the Palestinians.
Amy Kellogg, so good, great to have you stateside for just a little bit here in the diner, because usually you're way overseas in Italy, so it's good to see you here in person. We appreciate it.
Let's do some breakfast.
Yeah.
All right, let's fire that up.
All right.
All right, guys, Connecting America is just getting started. Road rage has reached epidemic proportions. Up next, Dr. Jeffrey Gardier is going to talk about what you can do if you start losing your temper behind the wheel. We'll be right back.
Yeah,
Listen up, Dave.
that's me. Yeah.
Welcome back to Connecting America,
Cameo
everyone.
time.
Hi.
time.
Getting our refills
I
on
didn't
the
even see you
Java.
there.
Hi.
How are you?
Great. How are you
Does
guys?
anybody need a refill?
I just
We
got
just
mine.
got 'em.
I'm good.
Thank you.
Cheers.
I'll warm
Thank
up.
you for
Cheers.
that.
I'll
Cheers.
just drink this.
You're the best.
See ya.
Thank you, Trish. Okay, we need a little sunshine before this next story.
Yeah.
This next one, whenever I see these, makes me so angry, so unnecessarily sad. A disturbing story out of Vegas. A man allegedly followed a woman to her home after she cut him off in traffic. He got to her house, pulls out a gun, and that's when the woman's boyfriend comes out and allegedly gets shot by him. This is all from a local CBS station. This comes from just simple road rage.
Just cutting them off, and then that's
That's the
how
response.
it played out. Oh,
Raises a number of questions, including how do things get so out of control when people are behind the wheel? In fact, a new poll by AAA shows 96% of drivers admitted to road rage over the past year. So that means you guys too are likely guilty here. Let's bring in Dr. Jeffrey Gartier, America's psychologist. Good to see you, my friend. All right, where is this road rage coming from? 96% of us apparently suffering from that.
Yeah, and another 11% admitted, Dave, to violent actions like bumping another car or cutting off another car. Some drivers in sports cars, big trucks, motorcycles, not only were viewed as being more aggressive, but actually felt more aggressive when driving their cars. And a lot of this comes, right, Hannah, from what you're saying, being angry and getting behind the wheel of a car, or having some pre-existing issues that you're dealing with in life, and then you have a very short fuse. We see this in road rage. We see it with regard to parking. People have been injured. People have been killed in these situations. So it's something that we really need to pay attention to. And I think it's something now in this very angry society that we're in is becoming epidemic.
Any tips, Jeff, for if you are feeling like on the edge when you're getting behind the wheel and you might just, turn a little bit nasty? What do we need to do in that moment? What's the best advice?
Yeah, Jim. Well, the AAA gives us a couple of suggestions. First one is encourage good road etiquette, and that, of course, is common sense. But use simple actions such as using your turn signals, letting other people merge. When I'm driving my hoopty convertible, that's an old car in Brooklyn talk, I like to wave and say, thank you for letting me merge. And those things really help. But I have my own Dr. Jeff advice, if I may share that with you.
Please.
The AAA. Well, first of all, don't drink and drive, because we already know not only is it dangerous, but alcohol makes us much more aggressive and we have a shorter fuse. So that, of course, is something that we want to pay attention to. Next thing is self-talk before you get in the car. Say to yourself, I want to get from point A to point B, and I want to be able to protect my precious cargo, which may be family or friends. The other thing is, don't react immediately if someone cuts you off or they're being aggressive. Count to 10, count to 25, and let that anger pass. Take pride in defensive driving. It reflects your mastery of the road and some real intelligence. And don't get into that mindset that that person who cut you off is the enemy, that there's someone who is mean. They might be your neighbor. They might be a friend in another life. And therefore, we know that people sometimes have a short fuse. We're not perfect, and we make mistakes.
Dr. Jeff, I want to ask you this. What is it about driving? It almost reminds me of social media in a way, because there's a disconnect, right? I'm not seeing that person face to face. Why do we go from 0 to 60 when it comes to anger if we're cut off? Psychologically, what's going on there?
Well, we feel that that person is somehow disenfranchising us, and I'll get that word later on in the day.
It's early.
It's all right. Have some more coffee.
Right. I wish I was there with Trish to get some of that coffee. But we feel like, our rights are being taken away from us, that somehow we have less power. And it's not really about the power. It's about the safe driving that's the most important thing. I like to say that your mind is your most powerful weapon, not your vehicle.
I know this is about psychology, but how problematic are these and distracted driving and probably
yeah.
compounding these
Mhm.
issues?
Yeah. So what we see is, of course, if someone is on their phone, that we immediately make a snap judgment, which is normal and as we should, that they're not paying attention. But for the person who is on their device, well, certainly they're distracted. And if they're distracted, they're more likely to make some sort of a mistake, which can be costly, which can cause injuries, which can cause death. So in some ways, if you have that device in your hand, you are a menace to society, not just a menace to the road.
Dr. Jeff, thanks. And for another time, is that a xylophone behind you?
Oh,
Yeah, that's a vibraphone. As you
Vibraphone.
guys know, I'm a frustrated musician, so I'm trying everything to get my aggression out behind an instrument and not a car.
Excellent.
take it out on the xylophone.
Got to hear you play that sometime.
Vibraphone and hoopty convertible.
Right.
We're painting a complete picture of Dr.
We sure
Jeff.
are. All
Gotta
right,
love
we're-
Dr. Jeff.
We're going to pause here for just a bit. Coming up next, the Jeffrey Epstein story just won't go away. After the break, we're going to show you what President Trump had to say now about the possibility of a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell when we come right back. Welcome back to Connecting America, coming to you from the Sunrise Diner here in Roselle Park, New Jersey, where we're covering some of the top stories from around the country. We've been talking a lot about the government shutdown, guys, but there's still some action that's been going on in Congress.
Indeed, there is. Attorney General Pam Bondi questioned by the Senate Judiciary Committee Tuesday on President Trump's links to the late financier Jeffrey Epstein. She had some rather feisty answers when Democratic Senator Sheldon Whitehouse asked about Epstein, who was facing federal sex trafficking charges when he died by suicide behind bars.
You sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right, when you're the one who was taking money from one of Epstein's closest confidants, I believe, I could be wrong, correct me, Reid Hoffman, who was with Jeffrey Epstein on multiple occasions. And the senator sitting right next to you tried to block the flight logs from being released. Yet you're grilling me on President Trump and some photograph with Epstein? Come on.
So that comes just days after President Trump had this to say when asked about a possible pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, the former president associate, who's now serving 20 years in prison for child sex trafficking charges.
Hard time paying for. And it's called the I Love the Ocean Pledge. It's relatively easy to sign. You go in, you say, I love the ocean. I will spread my love of the ocean.
I think a lot of people in the public were looking for a categorically negative answer, a no on that one.
Certainly, Jeffrey Epstein's victims are looking for a categorical no to that question. He said he wasn't aware that she was seeking a pardon.
The question is, how would this go over on the right? I don't think very well. I think the MAGA media world, and particularly those podcasters who are concerned about the Epstein files, I think that is a bridge too far, but we shall see.
You know, and one thing that was interesting in Bondi's response is she was talking about some specific accusations to the folks that were asking her questions. I think that's why people want the Epstein files, whatever you want to call it. They want to see transparency. What information is in there? So we're not hurling these, just accusations out of nowhere. Let's see the information and let's let the public make a decision about who was involved and how much so.
Pam Bondi obviously was armed and ready to throw it right back.
She did her homework.
Democrats are questioning her.
I'll give her that credit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Amy Kellogg back here at the table once again. So good to have you here in the States. Joining us now with a little bit more about what your life is like overseas and your experience reporting as a foreign correspondent. We're so glad to have you here to share some of that with us. First of all, Milan, Italy is home now.
Yes, it is.
What is that like?
And I told Trisha that I think this coffee is every bit as good as my morning cappuccino. So
that's big.
I won't be welcome back home.
Is.
Milan is the hottest city right now. I mean, President Trump talks about the U.S. being the hottest country. I don't know. Milan is the hottest city. It's got the Olympics coming this year. It's attracting a lot of very rich people, which is problematic for those who aren't rich because there's a wealth tax exemption, a flat tax, which has been introduced. So that's made real estate very expensive for people. Very fashionable city right now. I mean, it's getting kudos for that. And it is a great location because you can hop to Switzerland within a couple of hours, an airport that is extremely well situated in the city and has access to the world.
I will likely be covering the Olympics, so I'm really curious. This is the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympics. Any advice for people that might be traveling there or what we might learn about this region?
Yeah, well, I think that study the subway maps because I don't think there are going to be enough taxis to get people
Good advice.
Everywhere they need to go. And
don't drive yourself. Don't try to rent a car. Is that your
that's
advice?
an important question,
Yeah.
honestly.
well, I don't think that Italian drivers are any worse than drivers anywhere else.
Okay.
In terms of road rage. So
I think they're better. I did rent a car in Italy recently, and I thought they were much more peaceful than they are here.
yeah, but it is a great city. You'll eat well. Portions are smaller, so you can try more things.
And the pasta doesn't hurt your tummy if you have a gluten allergy, so that's a huge win for many people. Nor does the pizza.
Amy, being over in Europe, what's it like seeing them cover in the news the United States, your home country. What's the discussion like, and what's it like seeing a different viewpoint from those in Milan and all the other places that you've lived?
Well, I know we were going to get into Russia at some point in this conversation because that's a place that I've spent a lot of time. But right now, there is a lot of shock about the tariffs. There's a feeling that the current administration has really ditched a lot of its traditional friends like Europe. And there's a lot of fear or maybe just kind of disgust about what's happening with migrants in the United States. So there are lots of Europeans who say, I'm not going. A, I don't like what's happening. And B, I don't want to visit the US because I'm afraid that maybe when I get to the border, they'll take out my phone and see that I had some off-color memes about President Trump or something. So, these are issues. There are people who think he's a great disruptor, and there's obviously a right-wing movement making its way across Europe. So there are people who think that he's absolutely right and helping Europe get its act together on its own defense. But I feel like I'm at the sharp end of the spear, and I take all these comments.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point about traveling to the United States because the Olympics is in LA in 2028, because the World Cup, which is the biggest sporting event on the planet, is in the United States. I've been reading a lot of concern about people, Jim, traveling to the U.S., which could really hurt attendance. I'm curious.
That'll be interesting to see. You've witnessed, obviously, world events that number many, including when Britain said goodbye to the Queen. You were there. What was that like?
Yeah. Well, post-Brexit, there's been a lot of soul searching in the United Kingdom. A lot of people feel that the country's going in the wrong direction. Others, obviously, those who voted for Brexit are very happy. But there's been a lot of angst in the United Kingdom. And the passing of the Queen was a big unifying moment because she really rose above politics. And whether you're a royalist or not, she lived through World War II. She was out there with her people and had a sense of duty to the nation, which you cannot, question. That was clear. She was out until the very end on meet and greet events to be close to her people. And I think that the amount of respect and the amount of patriotism that was seen during her funeral, the week of public events, and the people who waited all night in lines, queues, to get in and say goodbye. Her coffin was open to the public for final farewells for a few days, and it was just an incredible showing of love and support.
You guys ask about Russia. I'm going to go get the phone.
I'm
going to go
get that phone right now.
Speaking of love and support,
He really is.
my big question for you, Amy, is as Dave gets the phone, who's watching the dogs back home? Don't you have a couple of?
I got 5.
Five. It's not a couple. And there they are.
Oh, that's when they were puppies. We had a COVID litter, and we were going to give them away. But how can you give
They are beautiful
dogs away when you've actually been living with them day and night? So they're English setters. They're siblings. We still have the mom. The dad passed away, but we've got 5. Look at them there. They're amazing.
So, Amy, you've lived in Russia, in London, now in Milan, in Rome as well, correct?
Yep.
Is there something about, being an expat, living overseas in all these different places, also going to so many countries for work and your coverage, a unifying message about humanity that you see?
Thank you. Was that Putin calling, by the way?
It was. It was just. He was wanting some to-go food.
Oh, yeah. His order hasn't showed up.
Look, humanity. I think everyone is feeling the tension that we're feeling.
Really?
The disunion, the people just being more aggressive than usual. Sometimes they blame it on us and this kind of disunity spreading around the world. But of course, that's not altogether fair. I mean, I think that a lot of the problems plaguing the United States, whether it's migration, low wages, concerns about wars that we didn't think we'd see, all of that is kind of universal at this point. But I think a smile and respect goes a long way no matter where you are. And I feel like if you're an American traveling abroad and you do that, regardless of someone's political leaning, they will be very good to you.
I think we need a series an American living abroad, like at Amy's Diary. We need maybe once a week you telling us what it's like. I think there are a lot of people who want to live abroad, want to move abroad, and that wonder what that's like. I really think this could be helpful for our viewers here on Connecting America. Just a little glimpse at what it's like for an American abroad. Are you game?
I'm in, all in, as long as my dogs can make a periodic appearance.
Please.
Oh, please.
That's a requirement.
Definitely. And we want to see you walking all 5 of them on the streets of Milan at some point. I mean, I don't know how you handle that.
I love this.
I do one by one.
Okay.
And then I want credit for the reality show when you get picked up.
He wants a cut. That's what he means.
Yeah.
But he's got great ideas for reality shows.
Got a lot of them. Got a lot of stuff up here.
Amy Kellogg, safe travels back when you do head back, and we're just so glad you're here in the diner with us this
Great
morning.
to see you guys.
You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next, drum roll, please. It's time for the toddler of the year. Connecting America. We'll be right back with that.
Welcome back to Connecting America from the Sunrise Diner in Rose Oak Park, New Jersey. Dave's got his extra pad and pen there because you've been answering the phones. What's going on?
DoorDash.
DoorDash.
DoorDash has a lot of action this morning to go orders.
It's the rain.
Did you help them out?
It's the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
See, Hannah got it.
I got it.
What about we love our coffee here, obviously. We need it. We crave it. If coffee is your thing, Starbucks bringing back some of its most popular holiday brews next month. They are peppermint mocha.
Okay.
Love it. My favorite.
That's
Honestly,
mine
I
too.
Really?
drink it often.
How about a caramel brulee latte?
Delicious.
A little too
Did you
sweet.
catch the accent on that?
You got to do
Oh, very
half
good.
pump. Half,
Half
pump
pump?
is the key.
Okay.
Too sweet.
Okay, good to know.
Too sweet. Iced sugar cookie latte
Okay.
and iced gingerbread chai. Those 4 come back on November 6th on what Starbucks is calling Red Cup Day. 2 more fan favorites coming later in the holiday season. Starbucks is also bringing back their popular Hello Kitty merch, like aprons, mugs, and cups. That's coming up also in early November.
So do you guys like these?
remarkable.
Do you guys like these special drinks? Do you get excited for them? I feel it's a yes for you.
Not so much.
I love sugary sweet drinks, and I love like the anticipation of them. I wish the PSL was a little later in the year,
Okay.
though. I wish, because like my daughter, she says it's too early. I'm not ready for the PSL. She wants it to feel a little colder. She wants it to be like mid-October.
And for everyone at home, the PSL.
Excuse me, pumpkin spice latte.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lingo. and it's venti, grande. What are the sizes of
Tall.
Tall.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
we got it.
Very good.
What else is going on?
Italian. Well, some cute toddlers out there.
We love that.
Yes, we do. It is time for the cutest toddler of the year. Dominic Domi. Help me with this one here.
Gurglei?
Gurglei, thank you. Won this year's competition, beating out 230,000 other children who entered. This comes with a $25,000 cash prize, a national ad campaign, plus a family trip to the Peppa Pig theme park. And he'll also lead the Hollywood Christmas Parade. The Toddler of the Year campaign has raised nearly $13 million for Toys for Tots. That's amazing.
Fantastic.
All right, joining us now is the winner and his mother. Good morning. And look how cute you are this morning. How are you? Oh, and goodbye.
There he goes.
How are you?
Good morning. We're doing great. It is.
How excited
and
are you? I
toddlers.
was going to ask. Go ahead.
We are incredibly excited. We're so honored that Domi has been recognized as Toddler of the Year, and it's the inaugural competition of Toddler of the Year. So we are thrilled and truly blessed.
What does it take to be Toddler of the Year? What are the components?
Well, as far as the awards go, or
I think from a mother.
Qualifications.
Yes.
Yeah.
What does it take?
so you had to be between 2 and 3 years old, and had a Facebook account where you could nominate your child. And we were motivated because we always believed that we had a super cute baby. And we kept getting compliments that maybe he would be a great one to model. And once you hear it a few times, you start thinking more seriously about it. And we said, well, maybe he does have the profile. So we said, well, why not enter the competition? And maybe this way we can fast track that journey.
So what do you think put you guys over the top? What
Yeah.
did you submit in that entry? What are your secrets?
There are no secrets. It's really a competition of free votes. So it takes rallying your troops, your family, your closest friends, and really just spreading the word. I think what helped us is that my side of the family is from Hungary, and Hungarians are on Facebook, many of them. And so all the news outlets, the TV channels picked it up a little bit. And I think that helped with the free votes. And then, of course, friends and family who are close to us, they felt compelled to donate some amount. And so I think the combination of the two helped.
So how does Dami feel about this honor?
Yes.
How do you feel? Who is the Toddler of the Year?
Yeah.
So he hasn't changed. He's still a man of the people. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. And he's really the cutest. He has a baby sister of 9 months, and he just loves up on her. It's the cutest little thing to see. He's very gentle with her. We love to see the two of them interact. He's a boy's boy. If you saw all the cars in front of him right here, and Peppa Pig and all the things that he's so proud and plays with. Thanks to Toys for Tots for some of the gifts. We actually just arrived home from New York last night, where he was announced as Toddler of the Year on Fox and Friends a couple of days ago, and so we arrived with lots of toys, and he's playing with some of them right now.
Also in a national ad campaign, is that coming up too?
Hey.
That is coming up. So part of the prize was to have him be the junior marshal at the Christmas parade in Hollywood. So that's coming up at the end of November. And as a follow-up to that, he will be part of a photo shoot, and his shots will be all over in magazines and billboards. And we're so excited for that.
Mom, I've got a question for you. This can be a difficult time, the toddler years. What are the most beautiful moments about this time in a child's life that you got to just pinch yourself and savor?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. Honestly, he brings tears to our eyes on a daily basis, and it could be the smallest little thing, just helping in the kitchen. He, from a very young age, he was very, very helpful. Just wanted to come and water the plants with me, or feed the cats, feed the fish. Things that you can't ask for, but if it's in his nature, it really just brings joy to our family. So I think it's the everyday little moments that just make it so special.
Is Dami on Instagram or TikTok yet?
Good question.
He is on Instagram now that he is the winner. We created an Instagram for him. Thank you so much for asking. So
What
the
is
handle is his first name, Domi, Domi,
Okay.
dot, and then last name, Gergely. But you can also
Toddler
find
of the year.
Toddler of the year. There it is.
Toddler of the year.
We're following
25
him.
followers. Let's see if we can help that out.
Let's bump that up.
Thank you so much.
Dami dot, and it's gurgly. Did we say that right?
It's Hungarian, so it's pronounced Gergely. It's almost like a silent L at the end. I know it's a little complicated.
We didn't get that right at all. We apologize for that, Micah. But thank you for being here on Connecting America.
He's the toddler of the year. He's not mad.
No, we love
Thanks,
it.
Tommy. Okay,
Cheers.
so I've got to tell you guys a story. When my mom told me the story, and every parent thinks their child is the most
cutest.
adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm not trying to be humble here. As an infant,
Yes.
I was hideous.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
No,
I thought you were going to say you were a winner.
Hideous.
No. But my aunt was working in a magazine in New York. They were having a cutest baby of the year contest. My mother mailed in the photo to her cool sister living in New York. She never submitted it. Instead, she showed it to all her friends at the magazine, and they laughed because they couldn't believe this mother would think that this child could possibly win. It's okay. I've gone to therapy. We've worked through it, guys. And it's a great story for TV, everyone.
Oh my God. Well, you turned into a beautiful young woman.
Thank you. It just took some time.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I'll send a baby picture next time I'm here.
That is brutal.
You can look and you'll know. It wasn't good.
Coloradan of the year right here. Right?
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
That's
okay.
But congrats, Dami.
So there's a lot of demand for the pricey GLP-1 weight loss drugs. Ozempic, Wegovy, both from Novo Nordisk, are available at Costco pharmacies now for $499 per month if you have a self-pay Costco membership. This is a big deal when 1 in 8 Americans have tried these drugs, and it's a big discount. Wegovy's last list price about $13.50 per month.
Wow.
So you're talking well over 50% off. The price at Costco is even slightly lower if you have the right membership or credit card. GLP-1 weight loss drugs are often prescribed for diabetes or heart conditions, but they are pricey and only half of employee insurance plans cover them, and they are changing our country as you know it. They are changing how we eat. They're changing how we look. They're changing how we drink. I think the most impactful drug we've seen in 20 or 30 years. It will remake this country over the next decade.
You have to have a a prescription though if you go to Costco to get this, I think. Am I right?
I would presume,
yes.
I can't imagine you can walk in without one.
It's getting easier and easier to get those prescriptions. You can get them online super easily. We just saw Serena Williams. She's now advocating for this.
Mm-hmm.
So they're making it super simple. I don't know if there's any dangers to that. I think you should always have a lengthy conversation with a doctor before choosing something. But I mean, if it's at Costco, it's definite. If it wasn't mainstream before, it is mainstream now.
I'm with you there. That will change the game, and it's already exploding.
All right, we connected with Domi here on Instagram this morning. If you want to connect with us, you can download the best of Connecting America every day wherever you get your podcast. Type in Connecting America in the search bar. That's the way to find us there. Or you can find us and follow us on social media. We're all over all these platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And we'll be right back at the top of the hour as the diner fills up. We'll try to talk to some people who might be coming in from the rain here on this Wednesday morning. We'll be right back.
The views expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of USA Today or its affiliates.
Good morning. Welcome to Connecting America. I'm Jim Rosenfield alongside Dave Briggs. Hannah Davis here with me.
Good morning.
The Sunrise Diner, Rosa Park, New Jersey. Hannah, have you found that childhood photo? Because we want to see
We're going to get that for you
what
guys.
that was all about. You're trying to reach your mom this morning.
Yes. You'll see it. You'll agree.
Hideous was the word she used to describe herself.
Yes.
That is self-described.
Java the Hutt was also a description that was used.
Oh my gosh, it's brutal.
So stay tuned.
Oh my God.
That is a tease in the business.
Okay, let's turn
Switching.
to events in Washington. Attorney General Pam Bondi fielded some tough questions on Capitol Hill yesterday. She faced members of the Senate Judiciary Committee amid concerns the Justice Department is being weaponized to go after people who President Trump believes are his enemies. Take a listen.
I took office with two main goals: to end the weaponization of justice and return the department to its core mission of fighting violent crime. As to ending the weaponization of justice, we learned that former FBI secretly investigated you and your colleagues. Why? They wanted to take President Trump off the playing field. They were playing politics with law enforcement powers and will go down as a historic betrayal of public trust.
The Attorney General defended the job she's been doing and said Democratic administrations were the first to politicize the Justice Department, so turning it right back on them.
A fair argument, some say. USA Today correspondent Josh Meyer focuses on domestic, national, and global security issues. Let's get your take on what the Attorney General had to say. What to you stood out the most, Josh?
Hey, guys. So, I've been covering these hearings for decades. And, to me, what stood out was the rancor, and basically one-sided, where the Republicans were really throwing her softballs. The Democrats, it seemed, were asking, some very legitimate questions. But Bondi was basically responding by launching personal attacks against them. She called Adam Schiff a liar and a failed lawyer. She basically accused Senator Blumenthal of making up his military record. I mean, whenever anybody would ask her a question, whether it was, why are you sending federal troops to Illinois, as Senator Dick Durbin said, when we don't want them there? She basically just turned it around and accused him of consorting with a Jeffrey Epstein friend. So, a lot of people, not just me, are saying that they've never seen anything like this, the level of basically accusations and personal attacks from a witness to a sitting group of senators.
And we saw her artfully, perhaps some would say deflect, or just flat out refuse to answer a slew of questions.
Correct. I wrote about a lot of them in the story today, but, it was pretty much everything. She basically rope-a-doped them, to steal a Muhammad Ali phrase, on everything, whether it was the Jeffrey Epstein files, whether it was, Border Czar Tom Homan allegedly taking a bag, Kava bag with $50,000 in cash for basically a DHS contract. He's sort of denied that, but they wanted to get answers to that. They wanted to get answers to a lot of different questions, including the federalization of some of these states, the crime fighting effort that President Trump has said he's doing, which they say is not needed in their state. So there was a long litany of topics that they were trying to get answers on, and they never did.
I was going to say, outside of the accusations, did anything come out of substance when it comes to either troops going into these states or even talking about Epstein files? Anything that we learned new from Bondi during these questions?
That's a good question. And it was almost a 4-hour hearing, I think. And then I went back and listened to pretty much everything afterwards. So I listened to it twice. And I can fairly confidently say that no, we didn't really learn anything from her. And I think that was her intention. And if you looked on social media and online, she was sort of championed by the Trump administration faithful for doing that, including her assistant attorney general, Harmeet Dillon, who basically, said my boss is the boss for basically not answering any of their questions.
Yeah, there is no point of having another one of these. I watched the entire thing, didn't hear one substantive answer. And even Republican Senator Kennedy did press her on the Epstein matter, but he didn't get answers either. So that was an interesting moment. Meanwhile, former FBI Director James Comey said to be arraigned in just a couple of hours. Bondi was questioned about that investigation. What did we learn, if anything, from that? And what do experts say about the likelihood of a prosecution here?
Well, I actually did a story that was set to run this morning anyway on that, about whether there's a fatal flaw in that case, and I can get to that in a minute. But, Bondi didn't really say anything about that either. She was asked by multiple senators, Democrats, of course, whether, the fact that Trump said that he wanted Comey indicted and quickly before a statute of limitations ran out, whether that had anything to do with the Justice Department indicting him. And she basically threw that back at them and questioned their integrity and their ability to be fair, and accusing the Democrats of weaponizing the government too. So
go ahead. I was going to just ask, what's the flaw in the case?
So the fatal flaw in the case is that, and this is very arcane stuff, but a former Justice Department official in 1986 by the name of Samuel Alito, who's now, of course, a Supreme Court judge, said that you can only appoint one interim U.S. attorney. After that, it goes to the courts, and whatever the court jurisdiction is in that district gets to appoint it. And Trump had already appointed one interim U.S. attorney, Eric Siebert, and he was, of course, fired by Trump for reportedly for not indicting Comey. He says that he resigned, but whatever the case, he was out, and so that there's a lot of legal experts that say that you can't appoint a second one. So therefore, if Lindsay Halligan, who's the U.S. attorney now, was invalidly appointed, then the indictment was invalid too, because she is the only prosecutor who would sign the indictment of James Comey.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
That's the first I've heard of that avenue. All right, Josh Meyer, thank you from USA Today. We really appreciate you being here. We'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think all eyes today is really procedural, so I don't think we'll learn anything today, really a pro forma hearing. But that trial will be certainly interesting, as Lindsay Halligan has never tried a federal case. So keep your eye on that one. All right. He was a staple of public television for more than a decade. Now, 30 original Bob Ross paintings will be auctioned off next month, and the proceeds from the sale will be used to support local public TV stations.
I love this. So the Trump administration slashed funding for public television earlier this year. The auction house says the paintings are worth between $850,000 and $1.4 million.
Wow.
Dave is smiling just looking at Bob.
I love Bob Ross.
How can you not? He is pure joy.
It was the whole,
He's an
the whole
icon.
vibe of that show. If you ever saw it, it was just so calming. Joy of Painting was the name of the show. He was on public television for 11 years. I didn't realize it's this long ago that he died back in 1995.
I didn't either.
And I didn't realize he was so young.
He was only 52. He had cancer.
And what a legacy, I mean, that he carved out. And in such turbulent, argumentative times, like, couldn't we use some more Bob Ross in the world? Now, I don't know if people would watch it, but like maybe on Netflix or something, right?
And will they buy his paintings? You said you want to get
sign
one.
me up, but they're a little out of my price range.
If they
my
go
friend.
for that,
I would love to have a Bob Ross painting.
I was going to
They're
ask you,
gorgeous.
how would you describe his legacy? What is it?
Well, I think Jim nailed the one word, which is calming, but he also did a lot for artists. I mean, he also changed that industry. So he had impact in television, I think you could argue in mental health, and of course for artists around the world. His paintings are brilliant, in particular what he did with light and clouds and landscapes. I would love to have one. Do you think I can get in the bidding?
Yes.
I can't afford it. I'm going to try, man.
Try. Let us know how it goes.
I'm going to try.
And very creative way to raise money for PBS. Maybe they should also auction off one of Mr. Rogers' sweaters, classic sweaters.
Oh, I love that.
That would raise
that.
a
I will
bunch of
pass
money.
on.
I will say there's one memory of Bob Ross that I think speaks to what he did. We talk about calming.
Yeah.
He also had an episode he did right after his wife passed, and he was painting and he was doing all these light colors, and then he started to put in the dark colors, and he said, "You can only see the light because there's also dark." And he didn't go into what he was experiencing, but talking about that human experience. And he did it in this beautiful, eloquent way that that segment like popped up on my phone a couple of weeks ago. And I just thought it was so,
It did? Really?
It was so beautiful.
Good stuff. Let's tweet that out. All right. After the break, a closer look at the big money in college sports. And we'll speak with the Texas billionaire who's putting his own money where his mouth is, lobbying for major changes in what he hopes will save college sports. We'll be back with that.
Maybe he can get you that Bob Ross.
Yes.
Oh.
Connecting America's health and fitness correspondent is with us now, Jenna Wolf, to tell us about 3 things you can do every day to boost your health.
I'm going to share 3 secrets with you, 3 things that I do every single day to help keep me centered, focused, and on track with my health. And anytime I veer off, I come back to these 3 things you can do literally starting today. Okay, number 1, the 3x3 rule. I saw this somewhere and I loved it. 3 things: steps, protein, hydration, right? All done before noon. 3,000 steps, 1/3 of your daily water intake, 30 grams of protein, all before noon, right? It's doable, it's easy to track, and you can scale it up or down depending on where you are on your health journey. Number 2, habit stacking. Have you heard of this? It's like tricking yourself into being healthy. You already brush your teeth. Boom, do 10 squats while the toothpaste foams. You already keep your coffee brewing. Boom, chug a glass of water. Binge scrolling at night, just to be consistent. Boom, stretch your hamstrings while you stalk your ex. Don't stalk your ex. That's so 1987. Habit stacking. It's like a buy one, get one free deal for your life. And number 3, this one feels a little hokey, but it really works for me. Take 3 deep breaths before you check your phone every time. It's like a mini stress reset. You'll repeat dozens of times a day, or in my case, hundreds of times. It's like meditation built in to your scrolling habit. There you have it. 3 tricks, 3 things. I don't always like to say tricks. 3 easy, quick, doable ways you can reset your life starting today to help keep you on track.
Do you remember last year's flu season? It was pretty brutal. Experts say it was one of the most severe flu seasons in a decade. And we've all been there. You're sick, you have a sore, scratchy throat, aches, fever, chills, an upset stomach. The good news is there is still time to prepare for this coming flu and cold season. There's a product that promises to be a total game changer. And right now, let's bring in Peter Galuli, the CEO of the Wellness Company and the brains behind this emergency medical kit. Now, this isn't just a first aid kit. It comes stocked with prescription medications to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses. So there's no more waiting to see your doctor, sitting in a crowded urgent care, and lines at the pharmacy. Your prescriptions are right there in your medical emergency kit. Welcome, Peter.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about the inspiration behind deciding on these medical emergency kits.
Yeah, during COVID, we saw millions of Americans be unprepared, not only for the pandemic, but for basic medical needs. And like you said, the cold and flu, which is always lurking in the background. So we really wanted to equip Americans, and we believe it's our own personal responsibility to take care of our own health. So we wanted Americans to have all these life saving critical medications in their own medicine cabinet so that when they wake up with a sore throat, a runny nose, they can treat those symptoms on demand when they're most likely to get better fast rather than laying in bed for days and days and hoping that they can ride it out.
Yeah, that's the ironic part is that, you know you should go see a doctor, but you feel so ill that you just don't want to get out of bed.
Exactly. No one wants to waste PTO being sick.
Do you need a prescription to get the kits?
You do. We have a 50-state telemedicine network that will prescribe these medications to you in your own name, and they're dispensed from our own pharmacy here located in the United States. So you're not worried about buying medications from some shady source online. All of these are legitimate medications that are dispensed by a real doctor who's licensed and will listen to your needs.
A lot of doctors say the reason that these medications are prescription is because they need to assess you before you take them. What do doctors say? What is their reaction to these medical emergency kits?
The reaction has actually been largely positive. I think it's a really new concept that we're bringing to the market. All of these kits are prescriptions. So you actually are talking to a doctor when you receive the kit. And we give you a full guidebook within the kit to help you self diagnose and know how to safely use the medication in case you can't get on the phone with one of our doctors. But we feel it's so important that you have these things because, look, having the medications on hand that same day can make all the difference.
That's very true. How do folks order their medical emergency kit?
It's very easy. You go to twc.health or urgentcarekit.com/CA. That's going to bring you to the wellness company. You simply check out with the kit, then fill out a brief questionnaire, and our doctors will be in touch to prescribe your medication.
Let's say you have this, in case of a medical emergency, how long can you keep those medications around?
It's a great question and one we get all the time. The medication typically expire in 12 months, but you can look at the FDA's own shelf life extension program and see that dry medications such as these retain potency for 5 or more years. And if you use a medication in your emergency kit, you can order a replenishment and get that medication refilled so you have a full kit on hand.
Oh, that's wonderful. All right. Well, Peter Galuli, thank you so much for joining us. People can go to urgentcarekit.com/CA, the promo code CA, urgentcarekit.com/CA. Thanks for being with us.
All right, a big weekend of college football includes ninth-ranked Texas Tech, hoping to continue their incredible run. The Red Raiders are 5-0 for the first time in 12 years and winning by an average of nearly 39 points per game. It is a team sport, but their success is due largely in part to one man who does not play nor coach. And he just might be the most influential man in college sports at this moment. You've probably seen Cody Campbell during college football commercial breaks. He's on a crusade to save college sports.
Do you remember last year's flu season? It was pretty brutal. Experts say it was one of the most severe flu seasons in a decade. And we've all been there. You're sick, you have a sore, scratchy throat, aches.
Obviously, the wrong tape rolled there. We were going to show you a commercial of Cody Campbell that has been seen in college football games until last weekend when networks stopped running it. Cody Campbell's the founder of Saving College Sports. He's the co-founder of Double Eagle Energy Holdings, also the chairman of the Texas Tech Board of Regents. He joins us now this morning. He wrote an opinion piece in the USA Today with the headline, "The Moment to Save College Sports is Here." Cody, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Sorry for the misroll there, but you say college sports needs to be saved. Tell me why. What's broken?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are a few problems with college sports, and we see a lot of them, in the paper. Um, uh, the headlines say we have an issue with NIL, we have the issue with transfer portal, whatever it is. But really, those are only symptoms of deeper problems, which are primarily related to just the fact that the business model is broken. There honestly is not enough money in college sports, which is a surprise to many people. The average athletic department deficit in FBS is about $20 million per school per year, and that was in 2024, and it's only growing. It's only growing this year. So the problem that we have is that we have professionalized the cost side. We started paying the players, but we still have this semi-professional model for how we market our media rights. And so that's what effectively needs to be fixed. We need to modernize some old legislation, some old laws, and get college sports on basically the same page with professional leagues in terms of how they can market their media rights. And
So, Cody, you
yeah.
say there's not enough money in college football. Reports are Texas Tech spent some $55 million on NIL, around $30 million on their college football roster. And some could argue money has helped Texas Tech more than any other college in the country at the moment.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but that's because the money came from our boosters. And so if you have great boosters that are willing to support your program, you're in great shape, and you can kind of take advantage of the weakness that everybody else has. But for most schools, they're running huge deficits right now. Texas Tech is not one of those. So it's kind of interesting that I'm involved in the one that's trying to fix this, because we are, one of the schools that's advantaged, and if everything kind of burns down, we'll be one of the ones that's left. But for me in my life, the opportunities that I've had, the success that I've achieved, I wouldn't have been able to without the opportunity that I got in education, social mobility, and everything I learned through college sports. So I want to make sure as many kids continue to have that opportunity as possible. And what I see is that the system is very quickly falling apart. And if Congress doesn't act, if we don't get some changes made, we're going to lose it.
So specifically, what are those changes? How do we get more money into college athletics?
Really, it all goes back to this law that was passed in 1961 called the Sports Broadcasting Act. And the Sports Broadcasting Act gave the professional leagues the rights to the teams to pool their rights together, their media rights together, and act as a single seller. So they are one negotiating entity with the media companies, and so that allows them to get more money. So, like, college football is the second most popular sport in America. It has about twice as many viewers as the NBA, but college football makes half as much money as the NBA does. And so, if you would simply, again, modernize that law and professionalize that law, you could change and solve the economic problem. Our studies show that it would bring about $7 billion of additional money into the system per year.
You write in the USA Today, the NCAA is too conflicted to put student athletes first and to represent the interests of its entire membership. How could college sports be saved if there's no NCAA to run 90 championships over 24 sports?
Yeah, I just think the NCAA needs to be modernized or replaced. I'm not saying that there doesn't need to be a governing body. In fact, I know there needs to be an effective governing body. Right now, we have no one that can make rules. We have no one that can set rules. No one that can enforce rules. The NCAA is a completely toothless tiger at this point. I think they've lost 18 straight lawsuits, something like that. You can play for as many years as you want to play. You can transfer as many times as you want to transfer. Get paid whatever you want to get paid, whenever you want to get paid by whoever. It's complete chaos right now in college sports, and that's because essentially the NCAA was behind the curve in terms of just recognizing that college sports have changed. And so, you know, the fact that we would consider giving them additional power to do more when they've screwed it up so badly up to this point doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Part of the chaos that exists in college sports is due to not just NIL and the Wild West rules of that, but the constant free agency that exists. The transfer portal allows players to transfer every seemingly year to the point that fans don't know who's playing where, what season. How do we fix that?
Yeah, that again goes back to the whole fact that the NCAA has no ability to enforce any rules or make any rules at this point. They've taken it all the way to the Supreme Court and they've lost something like 18 different times. Every time they try to enforce a rule, they lose the lawsuit against the player. And it's because they have been acting, as the court said, in conflict with antitrust law for over 100 years. So they don't have the legal ability to enforce any rules.
And lastly, you say, Cody, that this current system puts women's sports and Olympic sports in particular in jeopardy. Why is that?
Yeah, so there are only two sports that make money: football and men's basketball, right? And I don't know if people know that or not, but all the rest of sports lose money. So the money that's made off of football, the money that's made off of basketball, goes to pay for women's sports and Olympic sports. So as we have budget deficits, the first thing that the schools do is look to cut the sports where they're losing money, and so the women's sports, the Olympic sports, get cut first. We've seen 183 of them cut since July the 1st.
That is a huge problem. The website is savingcollegesports.com. Is Texas Tech going to win a national title?
We'll see. We got a few games to play, but we're so far so good.
Looking pretty good, blowing out
Yeah.
teams right now. Cody Campbell, Texas Tech Red Raiders. It's good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, when we come back, Bull Durham goes to Broadway. Stick around.
Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon romantic comedy baseball movie of the same name. The show, which played in Raleigh, North Carolina last year, has now made its way to the Tony Award-winning Paper Mill Playhouse, a regional theater in Millburn, New Jersey, just about 15 minutes from here. While it's playing locally, the home run for many of the shows that play the Paper Mill is to make it to Broadway. I'm joined by actor James Moy, who plays the character Skip in the production. You might have seen him in one of his astonishing 10 Broadway shows, including Dear Evan Hansen, Aladdin, and Tootsie, and on TV shows like Blacklist and Law & Order: Criminal Intent. Thank you so much for joining us.
So happy to be with you.
At the diner not too far from the Paper Mill Playhouse.
Not too far.
You have done so many Broadway shows in your career. What stands out to you about this production of Bull Durham that is going to excite audiences?
I mean, I think it's really just a traditional Broadway musical in all of its best elements. First off, a movie, it has a great score by Susan Werner. It's a really kind of rock bluesy score. Josh Burgas, who's done a ton of Broadway shows, his choreography is so athletic. The guys are just jumping all over the place. My knees, my lower back hurts watching them every night. And then it's the movie. If you're a fan of Bull Durham, or Bull Durham was such a popular film in the late '80s, and Ron Shelton wrote the book for the musical as well, who was the screenwriter and the director of the movie. So it really is the story of Bull Durham now brought to stage.
Okay, for those not familiar with Bull Durham who might not have seen the 1988 film, including myself, I'm sorry I didn't see it. But you know what? I like to go in fresh with a fresh perspective when I see new shows. So for people who don't know what it's about, can you explain what it's about and who you play?
Sure. It's a story based around the Durham Bulls, which is a minor league baseball team in Durham, North Carolina, and it's a single A baseball team. So it's sort of low level, and most of these guys are not going to make it to the big leagues. But it sort of revolves around this phenomenal talent who is young and brash, and maybe not the smartest guy in the world, and needs some seasoning. And there's the veteran. Crash Davis, who's his catcher, who's been around for a decade, and he's sort of helping to coach him up and mature the kid, and then Annie Savoy, who's played by the great Carmen Cusack, who's unbelievable in the show, and there's a bit of a love triangle. So there's a love story, but it's also set around baseball and people trying to achieve their dreams and just find a way to sort of to get to where you want to go.
And you're Skip?
Yes, and I play Skip. I'm the manager of the baseball team.
The camaraderie right now, in terms of the show playing and baseball at the height of the season right now, what is that dynamic
It's
like?
It's been really exciting. I'm a diehard baseball fan. I'm actually a Cubs fan. And last week they were on the elimination game. I was sitting in my dressing room in my uniform, and I was just like, "Please don't let the Cubs lose!" When in the middle of this great baseball musical that I'm a part of right now, because it definitely gets you in the mood for the baseball playoffs. And so many of the guys backstage are Yankees fans, obviously, and so. When we're off stage, everybody's been paying attention to the baseball playoffs. So it's been a kismet having the baseball playoffs going on at the same time as the show.
Yeah, and people you were mentioning, watching the games backstage and they're dressed so there's a lot of excitement for baseball in general. You mentioned Josh Burgas, the choreographer, and this is a baseball musical. For those who don't know, he choreographed Smash on TV. So you got to get the baseball guy to choreograph that show. And the director, Mark Bruni, he directed The Great Gatsby, which played the Paper Mill.
Correct.
So you have the big heavy hitters in this production. What is the importance and significance of that?
Well, I think this is a show that is, I think should make its way to Broadway. It's like I said, it's a wonderful score. Yeah, Mark Bruni, he also directed Beautiful on Broadway, the Carole King story, and so very, very successful. And The Great Gatsby also played a Paper Mill before going to Broadway, and I think we are all hoping that is the path it takes. And I do think the material is there, and Mark is just such a smart director, and Josh's choreography, like I said, that it is so exciting to watch these guys, because they're just doing unbelievable amounts of tumbling and just jumping all over the stage. It's
oh my
so
gosh,
fun.
I cannot wait. This show is in New Jersey. It's a limited run until November. But The Great Gatsby, as we talked about, Newsies, A Bronx Tale, all of these shows started at the Paper Mill and then made its way to Broadway. Why is this stop for you in this production such a big deal?
Well, I think Paper Mill is such an interesting place because it actually the size of the theater is it really is sort of a Broadway size house, and so it makes it I think easier for a lot of times for shows who are looking to go to Broadway to sort of be able to make the move in, and you have audiences who are really smart theater goers, and so you get a good idea of whether the show has a chance to work on Broadway or not because the Jersey audience. I'm New Jersey too, so the Jersey audiences are the best.
We are the best, and I cannot wait to see it on opening night. And the show Bull Durham plays until November 2nd, and tickets are on sale now. Thank you so much, James, for joining us.
Thank you.
Believe it or not everyone loves Taylor Swift. After the break, we'll talk about the love she's getting from her new album, but also some of the criticism. Connecting America will be right back after the break. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Sunrise Diner here in Roselle Park, New Jersey. It's still raining out there, guys.
It's not
here
stopping.
in New Jersey. It is not stopping.
It has been beautiful in recent days, though. So we're due a little rain.
You know why he's in such a good mood right now? Seeing the glass half full. I think it's because of this next story.
Taylor Swift. I have been glowing orange.
What's she doing
now? Taylor Swift's "The Life of a Showgirl" may be breaking records, but not everyone is a fan.
What?
How dare you? Rolling Stone gave it a 5-star rating, but Slate called it a masterpiece of cringe.
Masterpiece.
And some Swifties have criticized it as a departure from her previous albums with songs like Wood. USA Today's Alyssa Goldberg covered the Taylor Swift backlash in her article on Monday. Alyssa, good morning. Thanks for being with us. Why are people criticizing this terrific album?
This terrific album.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And I mean, I think not everyone thinks it's terrific, is kind of what I'm gathering from having seen the
Okay.
reactions and even the headlines that you just shared that, are calling it cringe or stuck. And of course, we're not coming from the perspective totally of like a music review here. It's more so how fans respond to the album. But I think something that a lot of fans have gotten stuck on are her albums like Folklore, Evermore, which had this really deep storytelling, these really beautiful melodies, and something that felt like, well, even though I guess they were released pretty close together, but something that felt more carefully crafted versus this album. A lot of people are just feeling like it's hard to recognize the songwriting, the sound. A lot of people on TikTok have compared all the sounds of the songs to previous artists' music as well. So I think maybe some people are a little bit upset about the lack of storytelling and the lack of originality that they're seeing in the songs.
What say you, Dave? I know you've got a response ready.
Well, I think it's what she said that's most important. She was on an Apple Music podcast yesterday, and she said, I am not the art police. It's like everybody is allowed to feel exactly how they want. And what our goal is as entertainers is to be a mirror. And she also said that, look, every time you say her name or her album, you're helping her. So she almost embraces the criticism. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, she's a very skilled businesswoman. So I think
Yeah.
she definitely, they say all press is good press, or no press is bad press, whichever way the saying goes. I mean, you see with her albums too, the rollout of her albums, she has like so many variants of vinyl that she's selling, of albums that are going up on streaming. So obviously, there is a goal there of selling albums. So the more you talk about the album, the more the people want to listen to it, because even if people are saying it's bad, they want to know just how bad it is. And, it's not all bad. It's, there's plenty of fun songs. I can see why fans like it, but I can also see why fans don't like it.
So many fans, Alyssa, feel like they know her. They follow her every mood. Is there a bit of maybe familiarity breeds contempt going on here? They feel like they can criticize her because they know her somehow personally.
Yeah, I have a couple of examples to go off of. I mean, so she's not the first artist to face this resistance to change. My favorite band is Arctic Monkeys, and they are super big in the UK. They have 6 number 1 albums consecutively, but each album they really explore a different sound. And there's sometimes some pushback when an album first comes out, being like, why are you guys going in this direction? We want debut back. But, their album AM, which was in 2014, and, their debut was in 2006. So that has become like their most recognizable album that really like gave them the most worldwide recognition. So even though the sound changes, people just have to learn to adapt. And in terms of thinking about these parasocial relationships, that's describing the illusion of friendship with an artist. So Taylor really does cultivate this because she has Easter eggs. She encourages people to look into every little thing that she does. But it's not all bad. There's another artist, Role Model. He's been a really big breakthrough artist this year. He does the Sally on stage, if anyone has seen that. And he has really cultivated his career through this very personal relationship with his fans. I reviewed his show for USA Today back in March, and I wrote about how impressed I was by all the inside jokes that he has with his fans, how much people really seem to adore him, and how that mutual respect exists between him and his fans. And when I went to Eras Tour in 2022, I wrote about how special it was to go with my mom and to see all these fans feeling so connected to her and to each other. So it's not all bad. It just goes too far when we put artists up on these pedestals and we think that they owe us things and that, there's a certain way that they're supposed to act and be, when we don't know these people. And, she doesn't owe us any certain type of album.
Hey, Alyssa, I've got a question for you. There's a saying, especially in comedy, that a happy comic is not a funny comic. I think of an artist like Taylor Swift or Adele, where heartbreak is really the driver of their craft. Maybe there's a lesson here that we can make great art in the moment of happiness. Thoughts?
I actually, just to push back against that a little bit, I think a lot of her earlier work, she worked a lot with her ex-boyfriend, Joe Alwyn. They were in a 6-year relationship, and some of the fans' favorite albums that she made were albums like Folklore, Evermore, even Lover, Reputation. I think they were together for all those albums. Hopefully I'm not wrong completely, but like songs like Delicate, Lover, those are about him, and those are some of the songs of hers that I love. And it's about finding this really, pure and passionate love with someone. So I don't think that, you have to be sad to make great art. It's a mix. There's artists like Noah Kahn and people that will talk about, what if I'm not sad anymore, and everyone hates the music. But I think in Taylor's case, I love him so much.
Speaking
He's so great.
of her relationship, some are saying Travis Kelce is a bad muse. Why? Is that fair?
I think that's partially because the song Would and Things really shocked people. I think, as artists and writers, like, we get really inspired by the people that we're around, by what we're reading, by what we're listening to. So, it's easy for people to point the finger. We don't know what hand he played in the album, but there definitely were a lot of jokes, some funny, some unfunny, about, him being a bad muse, her getting secondhand CTE, which is crazy. So I saw a lot of those comments online.
All right. Well, if you don't know the song Alyssa was talking about, Sally, When the Wine Runs Out, please listen to it. It is the happiest, I think, greatest song of the year. It is such an enjoyable listen. Alyssa Goldberg, USA Today wellness reporter. Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right. Next story, a really important one, and one that folks don't always talk about. So the start of menopause. Yes, ladies, it's going to happen for everyone. Doesn't have to mean the end of a good sex life for couples. Here to provide some tips and information, one of our regular guests here in Connecting America, intimacy expert, Mackie Swan. She's CEO of Woo More Play. Good morning, and thank you, first of all, for bringing this conversation to light.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I think it's a very important conversation, so I'm excited to do a deeper dive today.
All right, let's dive in. So physiologically and also psychologically, how does sex change for women during and post-menopause?
So menopause is a stage that brings a ton of changes to both physical and sexual health, but it does not mean that it's the end of a woman or a couple's sex life. I hear from a ton of women that they actually started having the best sex of their lives after menopause. It is really common for things to feel different. So for some women, they might be disinterested in intimacy, or they might be experiencing things like dryness or pain. On top of that, I think that changes in sleep or mood can make some women feel like they aren't really their best selves. But that said, it's absolutely possible to continue enjoying intimacy after women start experiencing menopause.
And Mackie, it's so great we're talking about this. I think the stigma we're talking about menopause is finally lifting and going away quite a bit. We've seen documentaries on this subject. A lot of questions I think women have in talking with their doctors about whether it's smart to take hormone therapy to help alleviate symptoms. What do you have to say on that?
So I think that your hormones are changing a lot during this life stage. Both estrogen and progesterone decline a ton, and that's part of what causes things like dryness or reduced lubrication. So that's a big reason why sex can be really uncomfortable. On top of that, changes in hormone levels can also lead to a lower libido. So in spite of all of the physical and hormonal changes, there's also like significant mental health issues, I guess, that come up. And for some women, things like increased anxiety or even mood swings are going to have a really big impact on intimacy.
I do think we should talk about men as part of this conversation.
Yes.
Do you recommend that women talk to their husband about menopause, and what's your advice for husbands in terms of their expectations?
Absolutely. So they should definitely talk to their husbands when they're experiencing these symptoms. And that's one of my biggest tips for women who are going through menopause is really communicate both with your doctor and your spouse and your partner. And I think when it comes to husbands' expectations, like understand that this is a really big change for her. Her body is changing. She might be experiencing brain fog. She might be super tired and not sleeping well. So give a little grace and have a little patience for what your wife is going through. I think that one way that men can look at this that might help them understand is it's kind of like post-baby or that postnatal experience where a woman's body is going through really significant changes in a short period of time. Understand that this is not a forever thing. It is just a phase and a life stage. And so try to be really patient and understanding about what your wife is experiencing.
Are there other medications, sorry, Hannah, that women might want to try? Other therapies?
Definitely. So I think hormone replacement therapy is a big one if women are experiencing symptoms related to menopause. The main culprit of changes, especially to sexual function during this time, is a drop in estrogen and progesterone. So a lot of women really benefit from working closely with their doctors to do hormone replacement therapy. It's totally safe to do it as long as you're doing it under the guidance of your healthcare provider, and it can really significantly reduce the symptoms that she's experiencing.
Okay, final question. I think this is the headline here. You said you like to share good news. You said a lot of women reporting best sex of their lives post-menopause. Why is that? What do women need to know, and what do they need to do to get there?
So there's a few different things. Of course, like we said, talk to your doctor, look into hormone replacement therapy, see if that's a good solution for you. But there's also some easier things that you can do in the day-to-day to help enjoy intimacy more. So first and foremost, I always say lube up. This is a really straightforward and inexpensive and accessible solution to make sure that intimacy isn't as painful. Find a natural, hormone-free, and non-toxic personal lubricant. Of course, that's what we offer at Woo More Play. And that's going to help make sure that you can still enjoy intimacy, even if you're experiencing things like dryness and pain. Another tip for folks is explore different types of pleasure. So if intimacy that you're used to is feeling painful right now, you can focus on massage or kissing or trying new toys. Those are all like completely legitimate ways to feel connected to your body and to feel emotionally connected to your partner. And then my last tip, and I know that we talked about this a moment ago, but just really focus on communication. So for women, that means communicating with your doctor. If you're worried about, say, the side effects of hormone therapy, talk to your doctor, share your concerns, see what he or she recommends. And talk to your partner, talk to your husband. If your body is in pain, if something's not working for you, make sure that you speak up, and that way you both find a new solution together and find something that's going to work for you.
Maggie, we appreciate it so much. And like we say, we talk about anything and everything here at Connecting America.
Important
and
stuff.
Hey, it is important stuff. Hey, speaking of important stuff, I told you guys about the baby photo earlier.
Has it been
Love
unearthed?
being blind. Let's take a look right there.
Oh, is that you?
That's me right there, little Eskimo baby.
Breathtaking.
Right?
Is anybody a Seinfeld fan? Then you know what I mean.
All right, this is the one right here. This is the one that was actually submitted. This blows my mind.
Your mom thought you were toddler of the year?
Yeah,
With this photo.
that image. What does that say about a mother's love right there? Look, I don't
Blind.
know. I think I'm looking at like
That love is blind.
I think I'm also looking at a cheeseburger out of the
Or you're
shot right
saying,
there.
Mom, why are you dissing me?
Oh man, that's rough.
Oh, and who's there with you?
That's my cousin Abigail Fletcher. 3 weeks apart. Hey, Abby.
So you embrace the hideous. Is that your bumper sticker this morning?
It's actually the title of my memoirs. They'll be coming out soon. Embrace the Hideous, the life story of Hannah Davis.
I do not think that was hideous. Just say it.
Jim. Good friends lie to you sometimes, and I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us here on Connecting America. I hope you have a great Wednesday, everybody. We'll be back right here at the Sunrise Diner tomorrow morning. Have a great day. You're adorable.
Stop it now.